Hey, I'm Cade, and in the first part of this episode, I'm showing you how I am taking this small room and turning it into a practical home office for my partner Mike, who is an architect who works from home. The room is a pretty modest size at about 9.5 by 9.5, but it has wonderful natural light throughout the day because it has these spanning views of the hillside. And Mike's office had been in the room to the right of the foyer, which was kind of the darkest room in the house. So I thought we'd move him upstairs and create a wonderful space for him. Yesterday I picked up a 10-foot long piece of butcher block. It's gonna span all the way from here to here. Because Mike's an architect, he drew up a plan of what he would idealize the space as. So you can see this large butcher block worktop spanning from wall to wall. This is the elevation, and then this is what he kind of suggested as maybe creating for what goes underneath it to work best as an office. The printer ended up going to the closet, and we ended up opening the space a little bit. All right, since we're spanning this wood worktop over across this whole thing, I'm not gonna put legs on here. I'm actually gonna put some ledgers, or I don't know if they would be called, boards that I'm going to attach into the plaster. So basically have a height of about 28 inches that I want to get to. So that's gonna be, why does that seem so low? I'm gonna go measure this window. I'll be back. Got the measurement. We want our desk height to be at 30 inches. Which seems just so low, right? Everything's gonna be at the same level, which is nice. What's that? He's comfortable. His desk is at 30, so it's just gonna sit just below that. I guess that's fine. I don't know. It's gonna look so squat. There's so much head height above that. So that's gonna be our desk. I guess that's a desk. It's all a desk. It just seems so low. It's hilarious. Well, it's not gonna be any weirder than the rest of the times they built a desk at 30 inches tall. So I've marked a spot where the top of my ledger board is gonna come out and my countertop is. So I want my ledger to sit back from the front so it doesn't reveal as much, I guess. Here, I'm just creating a perfectly level line that will give me a place to put my tape perfectly across, because you'll see in a minute. So now, tape my line. That's going to show what I need to do. These are my favorite anchors for anchoring heavy things into plaster over brick. And what they do is the screw goes into the capsule and then expands the capsule in the wall. You have to actually drill a larger hole for the capsule to go inside. And then you just put the capsule right into the wall. Oh, shit, forgot about that. Hilarious. That's a plaster wall, that's a concrete wall. Well, forgot about that, that's gonna be an easier one. So we just needed those, okay. This is a 2x2, perfectly square and 8 feet long. Doesn't have to span the whole thing, and I can just cut the 22-inch end pieces. So now I'm taking off my tape where I put the holes in the wall, which corresponds with the top line of where my ledger needs to go. And then what I'm gonna do, and hopefully I can use those as the guide holes for my piece of wood here. So without completely, well, that was smart. Rough it in. Okay, a little too far over that way. So basically what we want is to align this with the top and say, hey, that's our top line, right? So now, see how those holes are there? Now I'm gonna screw through those holes. So this drill bit is a little bit wider than my screw, but that's okay because we want some play. We want a little bit of play in our wood piece. So supposedly, when I put this on, these will all fit on the other side perfectly. Let's see if that's the best idea I could come up with.
Is that a good idea?
I hope this was a good idea. This like goes right in line with my usual wonky way of thinking. Perfectly wrong. So we'll have to make the holes bigger if in fact this doesn't line up, because these whatever. Oh, there's one. Okay. Oh, there. Okay. Oh, that one just fell off. No, it's not secured anymore. Let's see if we did it. All right. Oh. Whoa! I think that one worked. Ooh, it's so snug. Ooh, let's right there. Ooh. Ooh. That, my friends, is super strong. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh. I don't want to like jinx this, so I'm just gonna snug those babies up. Yep, that one did it. Oh, that's like in there like a rock. That's badass. How did I get that wrong? Oh, I should have done it backward. Fuck, see? That's why you do it. Beautiful. It's fucking great. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. So close. Oh my gosh. Ha! Pretty fucking close. Yeah. Check that out. We had an unusually warm winter day, so I decided to take the whole worktop back outside and sand it and polycoat it outside in the beautiful weather, which was perfect. Just a lovely day to be outside as well. And my usually obsessive sanding in between every thin coat of polyurethane. And then moving on to the shelves, which I wanted to make a curve on, and then using the jig, cut out the curve. Well, which, as with the jig, is an unruly process, and my only suggestion being low, slow, and steady with the jig. A lot better. And then I used my first finished piece as a template for the second shelf. Did it go better the second time around? It went a little better. Oh, safe. Not as warm of a day outside, but still wanted to complete my sanding outside whenever possible. I'm applying my polyurethane on with a microfiber towel. I've just found that it works really easy in applying the thin layers and being able to wipe them off. For the brackets, I'm using reuse 1/2-inch diameter copper piping, and I'm cutting it to the depth of my shelves, which is approximately 12 inches, and then pressing those in the vise at the ends so I can make a place to attach to the wood shelves with screws. It's a very satisfying process. Here's a weird story. As a kid, I used to smash my Matchbox cars in the vise to see how they impacted, when they were impacted. And my dad would just look at the pile of Matchbox cars and he would be like, why? Why? And then you'll see here the finished product, which then sits at that 45. And then using the drill press to drill through the ends. You can use a drill, but it's just a little bit more unsteady. Then here, I am creating what is going to be the structure that I'm going to attach to the plaster over brick wall above the worktop. And I need that structure to attach the brackets and the backs of the shelves to. So you'll see here, there's that first bracket, which is the first shelf. I'm using the pocket hole driver for the screw holes that will add to the structure. which is kind of a scary process, but it actually creates a better structure overall if you're using the pocket holes versus screwing it through the sides of the boards. And then a strength test. And I'm also drilling pocket holes into the backs of the shelves that will attach to the pieces that are spanning my vertical pieces. And then here I'm combining 2 of the bracket pieces I made in the center of in between the 2 shelves. And then I'll attach each of the shelves to the brackets either on top or on bottom. I was looking at videos for alternative ways of hanging shelves and I couldn't quite land on any that were just like striking my fancy, so I put together this little bracketing idea as an alternative for using copper for shelving brackets. Whoa! Nice. What? It's awesome. You like it? Great. It's probably not entirely easy to tell in the video, but this floor is not in great shape, and I do at some point need to sand it down and refinish it. But for the time being, we're putting carpet in this room because as a office with having your chair in there and then also being on video and phone calls, it's just the best to have carpet in an office. So this is indoor-outdoor carpet from Home Depot that I'm just putting down with carpet tape. It was the best, most inexpensive solution for the time being. So far we have the shelves put up. They're looking pretty good. We have this in. We also have the filing cabinets put together. Interesting. Piece and some pieces in that piece. Oh, okay, cool. All right. And I'm gonna clean up the wood, and then we're gonna do kind of like the mock move-in for Mike so that we can kind of get a flow of things. And then we'll start working on wall things and styling that and getting it office ready. It's been a couple weeks since Mike moved in, but he's moved some of his stuff in. I've asked him to pull together some inspirations for the art in here. This is something he's had for a long time, which we thought we'd put up, but just getting it going. We did install new blinds in the house, so they're up downs. And that works great with the computer desk setup, but I have a few things to finish up, but I thought I'd just give you this is an active update, and then next week we'll be looking at it and seeing what it looks like in its most ideal state. So stay tuned for that. This room is the room that Mike just moved out of, which had his desk and computer in it, and this built-in bookcase. This little key still in there, and as well as this little knocker that was on the door, and some lovely little elements. It's just basically a room that retains a lot of the original features from when the house was built. This is Benjamin Moore Mysterious. It's one of their Color Trends 2022 color, and we dove right in with this one. I just went ahead and got a gallon of it to paint what we're now calling the library. And it's just a nice deep denim color. It's very compelling, as it says there, a rich navy or a deep denim. When it goes on, it's quite blue, but as it dries, it settles quite down with a little bit of graphite in it. It's really nice. Because the mysterious color ended up so nice, we went back to the 22 Color Trends colors and picked out a few that I was going to put samples on the walls. This Wildflower color, as well as the High Park, and then I think one other, but it was from another one of their books from a couple years ago. And with the new color, I wanted to try something I necessarily wouldn't have tried before, so that's definitely the Wildflower color, which is the one that plays most pink here. And then the greens are more jewel tone than I would have picked in the past, but they still played a lot like something that I would have picked in the past. So I ultimately decided to go with the Wildflower color. So before I painted this room, definitely needed to clean it out. You will soon see how intentions change, but my first instinct was to paint the picture rail the mysterious color from the other room because I do like the way that the two colors look next to each other, and I just went for that, but you'll see how that changes. I think as I got the color a little bit more up on the wall, I had a little bit more hesitation with putting a quote-unquote pink color up there, but I got a little bit more convinced the more I put up. And the more I thought of it, this color is on their 2022 color palette, which they wouldn't release some sort of like outrageous color that a bunch of people are going to hate once it's finally up on their walls. So I thought that was safe. I think the ceiling should be the Wildflower color too. See that? See the fireplace? Okay, imagine if that went all the way up there. Be pretty cool, huh? I think. We could always change it back. So I'm gonna put on my painting clothes and we are going to, we're gonna paint the ceiling. So the first coat is up on the ceiling. I think it was a good choice, except I had painted this, that color right there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just paint this the wall color, the Wildflower, and maybe do something more subtle. I don't think that is like doing a job. So I'm gonna void it out and then maybe highlight it again. There we go. I think it's good to consider things, to even do things and then undo things. That's always okay too. I thought this was a fun idea to add a little zhuzh to the ceiling, is draw these lines out from the center point of the light fixture and then paint it with metallic paint to kind of simulate a medallion on the chandelier. And I more or less pulled it on my Instagram by posting a picture on my story. I got some good feedback, so I thought, okay, I'm not like messing up quite yet. This is our piano. We got it from basically an abandoned school at one of their sales when they were selling off the contents. And it's a basic Baldwin school piano. I'm gonna paint it black. So first, I've diluted some TSP, which I'm gonna clean it with, into this bottle. So we're gonna spray it down. After that, I'm gonna use this wood filler and fix a couple of these little spots that are kind of adjusted because the paint that I got is black semi-gloss. So we're gonna need to do that. And then this is Benjamin Moore Advanced Semi-Gloss, Excellent Leveling, Extended Open Time. Yes, Benjamin Moore. As you can see, this piano is in a little bit of rough shape and it has a flaw on the soundboard, which makes it a little thunky, but it's an all right piano. I got it tuned a few months back and it sounds quite a bit better than the playing you just heard, that little jazz tune. This advanced paint by Benjamin Moore is quite black. It goes on well. I put on quite thin layers because I didn't want to sand down the surface all that much beyond what you saw there, and I didn't want to spray it in the room, and I certainly couldn't take the piano outside, so after about 4 thin coats, it was pretty good to go. Before the final coat, I actually moved it into place just so it would be out of my way for the moment. It actually turned out quite well, and I've ranted about painting furniture, but this piece, honestly, I painted this and it looks better. And paint your furniture, people, if you want to paint your furniture. I guess you're doing you, and I just did me and painted my piano black, and it looks better. Well, like with many things in life, rug down, piano painted, walls done. I actually put up some artwork this morning, and then I had this thought. I've had this wonderful, it's the green sofa that I've had since it's been in storage. It's had this big long journey. I think we found a home for it. But this room that I've been working on, has it been intended to be our dining room, because we turned what was intended to be the dining room in the other room into our TV room. You'll see that later, whole other story. But this room was always supposed to be the dining room, and so after thinking the color, was the color. It all had to do with the color on the wall. And I was like, the green sofa would look so good in here. So this morning, Mike and I brought the green sofa into this room. I'll show it to you. This is the green sofa. And so this changes everything. If we have a place for the sofa, then it's wonderful. And we don't really sit at the dining room table, and we can sit at the kitchen island if we want to sit at a table. I put the dining room table in the library room while I was painting this room. And it actually fits in there kind of nice, tucked up, and it makes it just fine for a library table. If we make this room into a sitting room, parlor, then the piano's in here, and it kind of makes sense. It makes so much sense because I could basically decorate this room immediately. I guess the dining room is canceled, and this is becoming the parlor, which is kind of cool. So next week, we're turning this room into the parlor, and we'll do that. So we'll see you next week.